Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you in another video. All right, so talks have ramped up from what I understand. Get that lint off my hat there. Between the Lakers and the Pacers in regards to getting Russell Westbrook's contract to the Pacers and possibly doing something in regards to the contract in trade. I word it that way because when I look at the numbers, as I said in the previous video, I think it's going to take a three-team deal to get something like that done. Now, depending on, obviously, if we're talking about the Pacers, it's not just going to be one player being swapped around, but the numbers do work because all three of these contracts are expiring. If the Brooklyn Nets wanted to get Miles Turner in exchange for Kyrie Irving, we could then send Russell Westbrook to the Pacers, and that would make that settled by way of the trade tracker. That should be possible. Now, obviously, those expiring contracts are very different numbers. Very, very different numbers. So I don't know that that is actually possible. But going by what the trade tracker told me, the numbers will work. Now, of course, you're going to need to throw in significant draft compensation to make that make sense. But with the third team involved, there could be ways of making that happen. You could throw Kendrick Nunn's contract in there. You could throw THT's contract in there and other various things. The $2 million trade exception that we have with Rondo, I believe, attached as well. 27 and 29 are picks you can move around. And of course, the young players that we have that would be attractive are available to trade with. So that's pretty much the war chest we can work with. And we'll see what the Lakers do. I think it would definitely be centered around Russell Westbrook, Kendrick Nunn, and THT, because ultimately that's who we want to get rid of. That's the equity, the trade value. What am I trying to say? The cap space that we want to create for ourselves is moving on from those contracts, I believe. So if that's the case, I know the Lakers, obviously, we've been talking about bringing in Buddy Hield. So if we're talking about doing a deal with the Pacers, obviously we want to bring on Buddy's contract. I think it's, as I said earlier, it's 2 years, $22 million or something like that. Not certain, but that can eat up a portion of the Russell Westbrook's, cap situation there, in terms of swapping numbers around and making things make sense from that standpoint. So even though the trade would be technically possible, you still got to make it work so that anybody would actually want to do the deal. So you match the numbers anyway, and that's how I'm looking at it. So that's kind of how I have it in my mind. I know a lot of people are talking about the Lakers maybe moving on from Kyrie Irving in this situation. That's very well possible. As I've told you guys, I think waiting for that situation is a gamble, but it could pay off greatly if we don't trade for Kyrie and let them go back to Brooklyn and figure it out and then realize that they're going to have to buy him out. That's the best case scenario, as to which he would then just immediately be eligible to sign with us or something of that nature. Some time would have to pass before we could sign him or something. I don't know. But nevertheless, that would be the best way to add him to our team this season while still making us the best possible squad, allowing us to take that 36 that he makes and to take the majority of it and divvy it out in different deals and stuff like that or whatever to make us better. So that's my favorite path, even though I don't think that's probably not realistic, I don't believe. What's probably more realistic is if Brooklyn wants to move on from situations right away, they're probably going to want to throw him in now. Now, I know it's been said a lot that they probably want to do a deal for KD first, but I'm not certain there's a deal in place for KD at all. So it just depends on how Brooklyn's thinking. Maybe they go back to the board with Kyrie Irving and say, okay, we got Kyrie still. KD, let's play this out, or make the move now and then take back what they've traded for Kyrie and say, we're more attractive now, KD. Let's move forward and try to make this team more attractive for you to stay on. So it just depends on how they're looking at it. I do not know. But judging by what the reports are, they really want to move on from Kyrie Irving regardless. So if they think there's any chance KD would be pleased moving on with Kyrie Irving, they'll probably be willing to do that. And so I don't think the Lakers are going to give up anything that would make it so that they can't trade for Kyrie Irving unless they know that there's a great chance they can get Kyrie Irving on this team this year without doing so. So take that for whatever it's worth. And no, I don't know that it's possible to effectively trade Russell Westbrook bring back what we're getting back for Russell Westbrook and then effectively trade for Kyrie Irving's $36 million contract. I don't know that we can do that. I don't know that. Because what we would effectively have to try to do is then turn around and flip what we just traded for. So, like, for example, we go get Buddy Hield. You probably have to throw in Buddy Hield to get Kyrie Irving. You know what I mean? It's one of those situations. Well, so I don't know that the Lakers would be willing to do that. I do believe that a lot will be determined by what we see next, of course. So whatever the deal is will determine what they think of the situation involving Kyrie Irving. So I don't know. I honestly don't know what to say. It's just not enough information as of yet to really make an educated guess right now. But that's what we have. That's what we're looking at. You know, hopefully the Lakers can get something done because we do need to get some extra shooting on this team. And, you know, if we are moving on from Kyrie Irving, I sure hope we do have a path to getting him on this team and not just passing this up because we think we can't acquire him. Because I do believe he's a piece that we really need in order to compete for a championship. If that piece isn't on the team, I don't really know what move we can make with the value that we have that can get us a team that'll be that scary. I don't see nothing in my mind's eye. No other trade can get us that type of player. So maybe there would be a different type of fit. Maybe you could, you know, find another way. Maybe you overload on shooting, or maybe you try to compound the size a little more. So maybe it's like you're not as talented, but you have such imposing strengths that maybe you can find a way to just overcome. But I think Kyrie Irving, of course, effectively gives us a player that can really take over the game. And, you know, the more I watch his highlights and continue this process of this 4.5-hour video I've been telling y'all about that's on YouTube, the more I realize how many different plays he completed for LeBron James. Broken plays. And that's, crazily enough, what I was hoping Russell Westbrook would kind of help with, even though he's not a very efficient player by nature. I was hoping he would be able to effectively close out plays, maybe give LeBron James someone to get the ball to who could attack when plays are in disarray. Because a lot of times defensives are swarming him, of course, and things of that nature. We have a lot of live ball situations. And what I've learned is that Kyrie Irving is very, very good in those moments. He's quick with bam plays. And he's very precise at his fundamentals and in his footwork and things of that nature in those instantaneous moments. So when you think about certain specific strengths that a guy has, you can bet that Kyrie Irving's going to get a trick shot off from like 40 feet away with the shot clock expiring. And it's going in, you know, or a situation where it's a live ball play and you need a trick shot like Kobe from the corner over like a crazy length, and he's going to hit the shot because that's the type of game and talent that he provides. So the more I learn him, the more I realize why Bron wants him on the team. Because, and I've only gotten through the first 3 years of his career, so we haven't even gotten to where he's developed to. This is like one of those situations where you're looking at him as a young player. But what he did for the team a lot of the time was just put them in positions to be bailed out. Just be plays will finish because he hit a shot at the buzzer of those plays, or he would make something out of nothing, or finish in impossible angles and stuff like that just repeatedly puts pressure. And then when I say he wasn't predicated on speed, I don't think his game is predicated on speed, but speed is very much part of what he does because he uses different speeds to kind of take advantage of what the defense is trying to do, and splitting defense and stuff like that. Obviously, ball handling skills and improvising in real time, really fast, with his ambidextrous genius. You know, that's really what it is. He can finish in a very gifted way that most people will not ever be able to. So as I just continue to learn, I just realize, okay, that's why Bron wants him here. Because he covers up a lot of Bron's weaknesses. Cut and dry. This dude will finish plays. Sometimes Bron will turn the ball over, stuff like that. Kyrie Irving will make up for that in certain situations. Also, he's actually a better defender than I ever thought. When you look at these highlights, you start seeing more and more defensive plays that he makes. He makes good defensive plays against smaller guys like himself. You know what I mean? So the limitations, of course, are there just based on the fact that he's smaller. But against them dudes, he gets his stops. You know, he gets the stops. So that's what I'm learning as well. Steals and blocks. And in clutch situations, his game gets elevated. And so that's a trait that I think we already have in Austin Reeves. And so we keep them two players on the floor at the same time. You got a feistiness and an attacking mentality that's going to be out there at all times. And that's when other players aren't even on the floor. So, yeah, I think our depth is sneaky already. And I'm listening to people talk about different teams, and Brooklyn's the hot topic. So I'm looking at their team. They're like, oh, they got a better team. At the top, like when you start talking about the first top of their bench, you start looking at Seth Curry. It's like, yeah, I don't think we have a Seth Curry on our bench. You start looking at certain players. Maybe if TJ Warren comes back strong and he's his old self, he could score 40 or something. I don't know if we have that just yet. But when you look a little further on our bench, after you go past Cam Thomas, their bench rather, if you go past Cam Thomas, you go past Claxton, they don't have the type of young depth that we have. Now, I think they picked up some young players in this draft that I've yet to learn about. In fact, I think they have a really good one that I want to get familiar with. But it's like, I don't know that they have the young talent that we have. People are looking at the Lakers bench. They're saying, players that we just picked up. Troy Brown, Ron Toscano Anderson. They're not impressed with those names. But I'm like, yeah, that's fine. But you got to look at the names behind those, though. You got to look at Jay Huff. You got to look at Cole Swider. You got to look at Scottie Pippen Jr. You got to start realizing what the Lakers have just put together just now. Because that is the crux of what it is that we actually have. Not the guys that we just picked up on one-year deals. No. No, it's the upside guys that we have behind them that are ultimately going to take the minutes from them as the season progresses, more than likely. You're going to see Jay Huff become a real player. He ain't going to just be some guy that you ain't heard of no more. He's going to step up because he's a 7-foot center who can shoot threes and block shots. So you're automatically going to give him minutes. And Cole Swider, we talk about how good of a shooter he is. Nobody know who he is yet. They're still looking at the top half of our bench. They don't realize that dude's probably going to average more than 9 points by the end of the season, depending on how we have him playing and the three-point ability that he shoots with. And his interior scoring, for that matter, that I'm learning about. So it's like, look, I know what we have. I'm listening to other people, and I'm not really sure what Brooklyn has, but I look at what they have based on what it is I've seen, and I'm not as impressed with their young talent as I'm impressed with ours. So we can let people think whatever they think about the Lakers, but we're building equity outside of our draft picks. And that is ultimately why I like our situation better than I like theirs, just in terms of comparison, and better than I like some others as well in terms of what I expect we're going to be in terms of bringing that talent in with our scouts. So, yeah, I want people to see this video if they're thinking about the two situations. And I encourage Brooklyn to work on their scouting situation so they can continue to bring in young talent, because that's really what's going to make you better than what you've been. And that's ultimately what's going to get us out of the toilet that we're in. So that's what it is, man. I just want to get up here and speak on that, because I don't know, you listen to people and they talk, it's so matter-of-factly, and it's like you don't know what the hell is behind those players that you're not so impressed with, like, at all. Like, let's look a little deeper and understand that the Lakers have some upside pieces that can ultimately turn into something sooner than later. That's a bottom line. I'm not saying guys are going to turn into superstars, but I'm saying they're going to turn into stuff that's valuable to us, that we can trade for other things if need be, or players that are going to help complement the superstar talent that we're always going to have in place, because we are the Lakers. And as long as we have a deep enough team, superstars are going to want to be here. So that's the value of a Swider, Huff, of Reeves, and Christie as he develops, and these various different players that we're putting on this team. Walker, hopefully he can be that type of player for us. That's the value of having all these young guys that may not be super duper stars or even star level players, but we can develop them. We'll make them a strong bench, and like the Clippers, as I said, the stars can be interchangeable. Bring them in, not whatever. We're still a playoff team because we can play together. Like the Heat, same thing. Superstars, yeah, we love our superstars, but if we have to switch them out, the system's going to be the same because we still have the young players in the system that plays defense. So that's how I want this Laker thing to go. I like our situation with our coach as well. I'm really excited about Darvin Ham and the things that he's saying. Hopefully it translates to good rotations, good play style, guys reacting well to him, and all of that. Not that, it's one half of the game is talking and making people believe. The other half of the game is the rhythm of basketball and it translating to guys actually looking good out there. So that first half is straight. Can't wait to see what happens when the games start. So that's what I got, man. Just want to give you a little extra. BDF 44. Thank you all for watching. I'm out.